Absolutely. Totally. Understand. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Uh-huh. Bye-bye. Yes. 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 Karl Williams, owner, 67 Orange in Harlem. Yes. We are going to Harlem, baby.
Yes.
We're doing our Black Winemaker show in his
Harlem.
Establishment, voted like one of the top lounges in New York City. Yes.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
going. Yes. What about you? What you got?
You mean Charles Springfield,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
fierce Sommelier,
Yes.
black.
Yeah, that guy.
His brother.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, he said,
What did he say?
yes.
He said yes?
Yes. Yes.
We going to Harlem,
We're
baby.
going to Harlem,
We doing
baby.
this Black Winemaker show in Harlem. We are so badass.
So excited.
We are so badass. I love you right
No,
now.
I really love you right
No,
now.
I love you.
No,
more.
I love you.
I just feel it.
I feel it as well. Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for coming in. Welcome to 67 Orange Street.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you,
And
thank
I
you.
see you brought some great guests with
Yes.
you as well.
Yes, we do. We have
got
Mike
Mike.
from Brooklyn, Bedvine Brew, Bedvine Cocktails in Brooklyn. And we have a
Everything.
sommelier, Charles
Charles
Springfield.
Springfield.
here.
Okay. Welcome, guys.
So, what you got there? What's happening over there?
Ooh.
Well, so this is a cocktail. I mean, it's a great seasonal cocktail. It's refreshing. Think of it as a whiskey sour with a lot of great spice notes to it. So we have sage and ginger and allspice.
Wow.
And
Wow,
Nice,
yummy. That
nice.
sounds delicious. Dreams really do come true.
Hercules. Excited. All right.
Are they
Whatever.
always like this?
I used to do what I do on a daily basis.
There you go, sir.
Okay. Yummy.
It's so
okay.
good. You're going to love it. Okay, so cheers.
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 Welcome.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Welcome.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
Let the fun begin.
Yes.
What's this cocktail called?
This is the Kentucky Refresher.
Mm.
Oh my God, this is so good.
Oh, whoa.
That is the thing. I mean, when you think about cocktail
Wow.
making, it is about being able
my
to
God, that's
incorporate
so
so many
amazing.
flavors into it. So you're already getting a lot of great
Wow.
flavors just from the bottle, from what's coming from your spirit. And then all I'm doing is accenting that, in this case with some spice, some herbs, ginger, and then the freshest juice I can use. I mean, my juicer, my trusted juicer,
Wow.
you know, I
Juicer
literally
man.
make all my juices fresh within
Yeah.
hours of making you
Cocktails
You can
extraordinaire.
get kind of intoxicated without even knowing you're getting intoxicated from
Well,
this.
but
It
you're gonna
tastes so
enjoy the
good.
ride.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. What black people do we have up next?
So actually, the first person we have is a winemaker from South Africa,
Oh.
and Charles, who's in charge, is going to tell us about it.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
Of our days and our nights and our wine nights. Yes.
Nice.
So the first winemaker is Nzika Baea. She
Whom
is.
I absolutely love. I saw a documentary on her about wines from South Africa called The Color of Wine. It was amazing. So I'm very excited to try this wine.
She has a great story. She's a beautiful young lady. She is the first black female winemaker in South Africa,
Yeah.
2004. And she created her own wine line, Islina, 2016.
Yeah.
And it's actually named after her grandmother, who actually kind of nurtured her in her life.
Love that. Love that.
And so her wines kind of represent that as well. So this is a Chardonnay, but it's not your typical Chardonnay from California.
Okay.
It's more of an old world style from the place you would get from maybe like Burgundy, like Chablis. So no oak, very mineral driven and very delicious.
Yeah.
You want to give it a nice swirl?
Okay.
Sure.
See what we get on the nose?
Yeah.
Well, that's why. Okay, yeah. Why are we swirling?
So we're swirling to get
White
the
wine, especially.
yeah, well, white wine, rosé, red as well. But if you want to swirl it because you want to get the aromatics out of the glass.
Okay.
So we have a little film of wine.
Yeah.
It interacts with oxygen, releases esters from the wine, and the wine kind of pops from the glass. So if you put your nose in the glass,
All right.
you may smell kind of what I talked about.
Oh my God, that
But
smells heavenly.
when you smell the wine, we swirl and smell it. We're doing a pre-tasting, so about 80% of what we actually taste is through our sense of smell.
Okay.
So that's why we smell it first, because we get a little bit of an idea of what we're actually going to taste on the palate.
So, Mike, you were right.
Always.
Wow.
So what do you
Yes.
smell?
So right now, what I'm smelling in this is, I smell wet rocks. I smell
wet rock?
citrus.
Look at her.
I smell
I
a
smell
little bit
citrus.
of green apple.
Melon, green apple.
I
Yes.
definitely smell green apple.
All right. and some nice minerality. We'll talk about that later. But let's taste it. Let's
give it a
taste
taste.
it. Yeah, let's get in there.
To me, this is Chablis.
Wow, this is so good. This is very Chablis-ish, right?
So really bright,
Wow, I
fresh,
love that.
Wow.
nice acidity, nice texture, nice body.
Does it work with this popcorn?
I was gonna say it also works well with the truffles and the salts. So really delicious
The
combination
popcorn,
as
like-
well. Yeah, so really layered, really
Very
resistant.
layered,
Yeah.
very layered.
Yeah, and very attractive. Chardonnay is one of those grapes that a lot of people, it's kind of polarizing for people. Some people like it, some people hate it. And I think they hate it because of the oaky expression that you get from most of the cheaper Chardonnays or California Chardonnays. But this is a really classic, like it's a Chablis style Chardonnay, which is actually really, really delicious, really lovely.
Question. Holidays are coming up.
Yes.
Holidays are coming up. What would you serve this wine with?
I would definitely do Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
turkey.
Yeah.
You know what I want with this?
What?
I want fried oysters.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Some people make oyster
Fried
dressing or oyster
oysters.
stuffing.
Oh, oyster
Wow.
stuffing
Yeah, that'd
for
be
your
great.
holidays, which
Yeah.
is a good thing,
Yeah.
right?
And it could also transition to Christmas too. So same
Right,
kind of dishes
right.
as well.
I love that.
Okay, you know what? Speaking of holiday,
Yes.
I'm thinking you're having a dinner party, right? Here we go.
Yeah.
What 3 famous people, living or dead, your choice, would you have at this dinner party with this wine?
Okay, so
Mike.
first person I'm gonna say
I would bet
is
he knows this.
Jesus. I mean, how can you go wrong if you're Jesus at your dinner party?
You say
Wait,
Jesus.
was Jesus a person?
For him it was.
At one point he was.
Okay, stop.
At one point he was.
Stop. We're not going there.
The next person I want, James Brown. You gotta have the Godfather of Soul.
Stop. I
Funk.
love it.
Sounds like a good party.
And
Why?
then the last person,
I'm scared.
Richard Pryor.
Oh,
those are dope choices.
I love that.
I
That
like
was the
them.
one.
Go ahead, baby.
How can you have a party, go on with a party like that?
my
Richard,
God.
Jesus, Richard Pryor, James Brown. Man, it's gonna be turned.
Somebody
up.
get healed. Somebody gonna get saved. Somebody definitely gonna get saved.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how James
couple people
Brown
going.
would act around Jesus. Would he clean up a little bit, or Richard Pryor?
Oh,
Oh, that would
Would
be
he
funny.
clean that mouth
That
up? Would he
would-
be
that
like,
would
you
be
know,
funny.
That'd be hilarious. Well, this is
My
great.
bad, Jesus. My bad. Jesus. My bad.
So here's the thing. I gotta ask you, you're a sommelier, right?
Yes.
So how many black sommeliers are there in this industry?
yeah. There's not a lot. I work with a lot of sommeliers around the country, and so we have a little bit of network. We don't have the same visibility as our peers,
Right.
but we're working on it. I think a person like me in my place, my visibility as a writer, educator, teacher, it shows people that there's an opportunity to do what I do as well. It
Right.
inspires people to sometimes leave our corporate lives and do something like follow your passion.
Follow your
Yeah,
passions.
Sure.
But first, let's finish.
Cheers. I know. We're not leaving this.
You love it.
Ooh,
We have
not
such
exciting.
a hard job.
No one
Really
left
hard.
behind.
So this wine that's up next is by a rock star in the wine industry, right? We're doing this show on African American, people of color, wine producers, and he is like a rock star. I think he needs a drum roll. I feel like he should have a drum roll. Mr.
Andre Mack.
Drop the mic.
Yes.
OPP. This is based on the Naughty by Nature song back in the day.
Yeah.
Only thing is that this means other people's Pinot
As opposed to other people's.
property.
Property.
Other one's other people's
Property.
property. Now this is other people's Pinot Noir, obviously, not Pinot Grigio.
Yeah, Pinot Noir, right, from
Right,
Oregon,
right.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Oregon.
so you got a lot of info about Andre Mack, the rock star. So you want to share a little bit of that with the people?
Yeah, so he was one of the youngest sommeliers, I think back in 2000, one of those 2010 or something like that. He also worked in really fancy restaurants, Michelin-star restaurants, Thomas Keller restaurants,
Right,
per se, and French Laundry, for especially people who, like in San Francisco or New York, know those restaurants.
And can afford them.
And can afford them and can get reservations for those too as well. He lives in Brooklyn, but also makes wine. But he makes wine in Oregon.
So he does a reverse commute.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, big reverse commute. And he actually just launched. He has a book coming out, 99 Bottles That Changed My Life. Pre-order on Amazon, coming out very soon.
Nice.
So he's going to join me as one of the few black wine authors in the world. So
And he's a sommelier as well.
and also sommelier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're in good company and good wine.
So do
I
we
love the
want?
hip hop references.
I know, right? Isn't that dope?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that dope that he
99.
brings, which is kind of cool because he brings like a current culture
Yep.
to wine, which is
Yeah.
kind of like what we try to do when we talk about food and wine, right?
Well,
He
that's
does.
that's his mission is
Right.
to make wine more accessible.
More
He does,
right.
and
That's
also,
awesome.
you know, if you look at the graphics he does too, the graphics are very
Yeah, I
eye-catching.
saw those.
They're very bold.
Yeah.
He makes a statement. I think
Those are
he does a
great.
really good job with his labels and his graphics.
Yeah, we dig you, Andre Mac.
He also
We
makes
do.
T-shirts as well.
The t-shirts
Right.
are awesome.
He recently did a TED Talk, so it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to begin with Mr. Mac's wine?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's so we're swirling first,
Yeah.
right?
So for this one, we want to look at the color. We have a lot more color intensity.
Wait, what are we looking at right now?
Just the color of the wine. So it's a little bit more deeper.
No,
Of course, it's red. Of course, it's red wine. So it's a little bit lighter. And see
Yeah.
what you smell.
yeah. So we want to give it a taste.
I get a little bit of spice too on this.
Yeah,
Oh, what kind of
spice.
spice?
Like almost like allspice, like a little bit cinnamon, nutmeg, a
Like
little
that
bit.
drink you
Like
just
that
made.
drink we
Yeah,
had.
like
Oh,
that.
like this.
And like maybe a slightly mushroom kind of quality to it.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, let's taste it for sure.
give it a taste.
Let's get on our palate.
Wow, that's really good. That loud. That was very loud.
You were really excited about it. I love it. I'm all about it.
It is kind of it's a
You know what I
burst.
really like is the texture,
Yeah, it's silvers.
the mouthfeel on this. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, I do too. Thank
So,
you. Well, let's
A little bit richer than the
layers.
Chardonnay,
Beautiful
of
tears.
course.
Look at
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Beautiful
yeah, that's
wine, yeah.
beautiful, right? Mm-hmm.
But it has this drying out quality to it. And when, on the finish, it's more earthy. Like I talked about the mushrooms, almost like sauteed mushrooms. It's a little bit maybe that truffle salt, which
Yeah.
actually that's
of course,
what,
again.
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Speaking
Of
of,
course. The truffle popcorn.
No-brainer.
Just
Yeah.
like
That's the
popcorn.
all of
perfect,
the wines
it's the
we have
perfect
today.
thing to bring in
How
when
did
it's not
that
allowed in a
happen?
restaurant.
popcorn,
Yes.
the popcorn that
Yes.
wasn't
The
allowed,
illegal popcorn.
the popcorn that wasn't. That
The
didn't,
body on this is a little bit more than you expect from
Do
a
not
Pinot
do
Noir
that.
too, right?
Do not bring popcorn to a restaurant.
Okay.
Don't do it. Maybe a little tiny bag.
Yeah. And as long as you share it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm sharing.
It's
We're
messy.
sharing.
Ooh, that's
It's
really good
everywhere.
together. The
I
pop,
don't know.
taste this. This is, oh my God. Did
Yeah.
Mike leave us any?
A little bit. But to your point, the texture of it. So red wines has a different structure than white wines have.
It
So
does.
you feel your mouth drying out,
Yeah.
like dehydrating.
Yeah.
Those are tannins, polyphenols that come from the skin, stems, and seeds of grapes. So they have a dehydrating quality to them. And so to offset that, you want to have something a little bit fatty, a heart of cheese, red meats, things like that,
Right.
to kind of balance it off.
Truffle salt.
Interesting.
Truffle salt and butter.
Try.
Try a little bit.
It was
Truffle?
good with that.
Sure.
It's really good together.
It is,
That's what I'm
actually.
offering. This is really delicious.
Wow.
Wow.
And
OPP.
Andre Mac, as you mentioned, he's a rock star in the wine world. Just inked a big deal with Whole Foods, so you can find his wine at Whole Foods around the
Wow.
country.
So this is
So-
easy for you guys to find the wine at Whole Foods. Andre Mac, right?
And price
Yep.
point?
Price point for this one is about $24.
That's
But he makes
doable.
rosés, he makes some whites. He's really influenced by French wines, like we talked about Burgundy a little bit. But also makes some heavier reds that you'll find like in the Southern Rhone Valley, or even Bordeaux styles as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Charles.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you,
Good
Mike.
information.
No problem.
Okay, so we got some good wines coming up next, right?
So I think we're going to end it on a really big note
What?
Okay.
What is
with
that?
one of the. Let's find out in a second.
Okay.
Yes, a big note coming up next. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last but not least.
Woo!
Here we go.
Yes.
So we're gonna do the Chaos Theory. This is a red blend from Napa Valley, California.
Chaos Theory.
Chaos Theory.
It sounds like my 20s.
Yeah.
My
Mine
30s,
too.
My 30s.
40s.
My-
Oh, my
50s.
30s too.
My 20s and 30s actually.
Right.
Good memories. Good
30s,
memories,
40s,
good memories,
50s.
good memories.
But this wine comes from Brown Estates, based in Napa. Okay.
Another rock
and-
star.
This wine is 50% Merlot, 25%.
Wait, hold on. Did you just
say Merlot?
Did you say Merlot?
Yes.
You're so
I
extra.
think you have to make sure people are still awake watching this, right? Wake
Are
them up, wake
you
them up.
awake?
All right. If you want to be a snob, you can call it Merlot, but I'm gonna call it Merlot. Okay.
Go ahead.
25% Zinfandel and 25% Petit
Syrah.
Syrah.
Syrah. So
Syrah,
Mike,
Syrah.
Mike is a wine expert. He's joking, y'all. So, but you're somebody. So tell us a little bit about Brown Estate.
They are one of the first African American families that actually started, has their own estate. So they started in the 90s, I believe. So they bought the farm. It was a dilapidated farm where they only grew grapes, and they sold them to winemakers, like big winemakers in Napa.
Yeah.
But the children of the mother and father decided they were making great grapes. Why don't they make great wine? So in the
Yeah.
90s. When people go to Napa, California, and they want to visit a brown or black family, they go to Brown Estates. It's the number one on the list.
Love it.
Yeah.
They've been
awesome.
making wine, of course, before Andre Mack, but they are the top of the top in the wine world. And
Nice.
they just recently inked a deal with Delta Airlines.
Yes.
Good
I
for you,
saw that.
Brown
That's
Estates.
awesome.
Good for
That's
you.
great.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Well,
Yeah,
Cheers.
with Delta
Based on the
Airlines.
price of this
Cheers.
bottle,
Excellent.
it must be first class.
It's gotta
Okay,
be.
why you gotta say that?
It's not. This bottle is not cheap. It's
Yeah.
not a cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. But we're gonna find it's worth it.
It's the
right?
value and it's the experience. right?
Experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
let's
we're supporting black winemakers.
let's experience it.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
Color
Let's-
is so rich. It's,
Thank you.
uh,
Yeah.
So rich.
Deeper,
So dark.
darker, right?
It's very dark.
More inky, more opaque.
You know what? My glass is really heavy right now. This is
It
hard
does
to
feel
lift.
heavy.
I think it poured you a little extra. Maybe that'd be the reason. But yeah, so let's give it a swirl.
Oh man, what I'm getting on the
So-
nose.
Good to swirl the pinky up.
Pinky up, pinky down, whatever.
Definitely dark fruits.
Yeah.
Dark fruits.
Yeah,
Okay.
all of them.
Like what?
Blackberries.
Blackberries.
see,
Blackberry, cassis.
Dark plum.
Dark
Ooh,
plum, black
cassis.
currant.
Dark plum.
Yeah.
Currant would be good.
Right.
Dark cherries as well.
Yeah.
All
But this,
dark.
This also has some oak influence, so you may get that
Ooh,
secondary
yeah,
kind of,
little- yeah.
Yeah.
a little bit vanilla, little.
Oh.
You can also smell the ripeness in this, right?
Yeah,
Right.
you too, right?
Very
yeah.
ripe,
Yes,
ripe
yes,
fruit.
Like
yes.
fruit from the farmer's market, fresh from the farmer's
Yes,
market.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Let's
Love
taste
that.
it.
Let's taste
Shall
it.
we? Yeah. We're having a religious experience here.
That is so delicious.
Wow.
It's rich.
It's
It's chocolatey.
it's
got
lush.
berries.
It's very lush.
It's like
full
biting
body.
into
titillating. Oh my
a
god.
luscious fruit.
It's chewy.
Isn't
It's
it?
got that
It is
real
chewy.
strong mouthfeel. Like it's just it's
They're
there.
kind of juicy.
Juicy.
Too, right? Yeah. Juicy fruit.
Juicy fruit.
Oh my god.
She said, "Ba-da-da, ba-da-da."
To me, this is great with like
Oh.
a nice, good group of friends. This bottle and a 40-ounce ribeye with rosemary and roasted potatoes.
Oh, okay. I
So
like that.
I'm
the
with you though.
rosemary.
Friends and this wine, the perfect pairing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is great.
It's not to be cheesy about it, but yeah, this.
That was cheesy. That was definitely cheesy.
Wait, special friends, special friends. You heard it. You guys got so many suggestions here from the show. I hope you take them because the focus is on African American winemakers.
Question for you: 67 Orange. Where did that name come from?
Well, so we were talking about this a little bit earlier, how important history is to me. So there was a man named Pete Williams, and he opened one of the first black-owned bars in New York City. It was called All Max Dance Hall. It was opened back in the early 1840s, 1830s.
Where was
And
it?
so it was down in Five Points.
Point.
And so he opened this bar, and it was the place to go. Everybody went there.
Yeah.
Wealthy, politician, poor, wherever you went. And it was in a neighborhood that was, I guess you can call it gentrifying.
Yeah.
Five Points was the first free black neighborhood in New York City. So it was the first neighborhood that was inside the wall for black people, right? There was a wall around the city.
Right.
And then it was at this point in time, I guess, gentrifying. So the Irish, the Jews, and the Italians were all moving into the neighborhood. For a while, it worked really, really, really well. As an example, at All Max Dance Hall, they would have dance-offs. And, the Irish would do the jig.
The Irish jig, right?
African Americans would do the shuffle. There was a dancer named William Henry Lane, and he would come in, and he was really talented, and he thought, what if I combine all of this? I'll definitely win these competitions. And he did,
he did.
and tap dance was born. So tap dance
Wow.
was
That's amazing.
was created by Master Juba, William Henry Lane,
Right.
at All Max Dance Hall in 5 Points back in the 1830s and 40s. And so
Nice.
67 Orange Street was the last known address of all Mex Dance Hall.
Wow, that's great.
Dope.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Black excellence.
Black excellence.
Black excellence.
I love that you said that.
Yeah, dope.
Black excellence, y'all. So that's it, right. Thank you. Thank you guys
Thank you.
for joining us. Thank you for just tuning in. I hope you learned a lot.
Right.
And we
We
want to
did.
say, stop by. And anything else you want to say?
3 black fierce men in the house.
3 black fierce men in the house.
Very
I'm
nice.
just very excited about this right now.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers again.
One more
Cheers.
time. I always feel like I'm cheating on Brooklyn
Uh-huh.
whenever I come to Harlem.
I hear you. I know, but I still love the old Harlem. You know, Wilson's, Lenox Lounge. Remember Lenox Lounge?
I'm more like New Harlem, you know. But if loving you is wrong, Harlem, I don't want to be right.
Okay.
Sorry,
All
Flip.
right. All right, Flip
Sorry.
Wilson.